A secret conversation just ended, and your name was at the center of it. The terrifying part, you weren't invited, but your future was being decided behind closed doors. One of them cried not out of guilt, but because they realized the truth is about to explode. Virgo, if this message reached you, it means you were meant to know. This isn't just a tarot reading, it's a warning. What was hidden is unraveling now, and once you hear it, you won't be able to unhear it. The moment you watch this until the end, you'll understand why the universe chose you, and why it's finally too late for them to stop what's coming. What time did you find this message? That number, it's not random. Drop the exact time in the comments right now, and I'll reveal a secret that only applies to people who saw this at that moment. If you've ever felt like something was watching you, this might just be your confirmation. You've felt it, haven't you, Virgo? That slow, creeping sensation that something was off, not loud, not obvious, just a subtle tug, a quiet dissonance humming underneath your day-to-day life. Maybe you noticed it in the way people spoke to you, like they knew something they weren't saying. Maybe it was in your sleep dreams that left you waking up disoriented, carrying emotions that didn't belong to the day ahead. Or maybe you just felt tired, out of nowhere. Not physically tired, but soul-deep weary. And if you tried to explain it to someone, they'd brush it off. Call it stress. Call it burnout. But deep down, you knew that wasn't it. You weren't just tired. You were sensing interference. This isn't paranoia, it's perception. Because Virgo, what you felt was real. You were picking up on an energetic interference, a ripple sent out by a group of people who thought they could make choices about your life without your knowing. They sat in rooms you weren't invited to. They spoke your name in tones dipped in jealousy and control. And they made plans that aimed to reroute your path, slow down your progress, and confuse your inner compass just enough to make you question yourself, not all at once. Slowly, subtly, strategically, and the effects, they started stacking. One small delay here, one miscommunication there. Suddenly, a project that was moving smoothly hits a strange wall. A relationship that felt stable starts to wobble. People you trust become distant, and you start wondering if you're the problem. But you're not. You're not being dramatic. You're not imagining things. What you're experiencing is the result of hidden intentions, sent your way without your permission. People who, out of fear, out of scarcity, out of their own unhealed wounds, decided that your light was too bright. And instead of tending to their own shadow, they tried to dim yours. But the universe doesn't sleep, and energy doesn't lie. That's why you're here, watching this. That's why this message found you right when you needed it. Because something bigger is now at work. Something that sees everything they thought they were hiding. And it's not here to punish. It's here to realign. To bring truth where confusion was seated. To restore clarity in the places they tried to blur. This moment is not about revenge. It's about reclamation. Virgo, you are someone who works so hard to build your life with integrity. You don't cut corners. You don't manipulate. You show up. You give. And for someone to look at that and still try to throw a wrench in your path that says more about them than it ever will about you. And yet, you've been carrying the weight of their actions. Quietly. Alone. But not anymore. This is your turning point. This is where you stop second-guessing your intuition. This is where you trust what you felt was always right. Because behind the scenes, the universe has been taking notes. And now, it's responding. The same energy that they used to try to destabilize you is being redirected. And soon, they'll be the ones feeling the very imbalance they tried to impose. And you'll rise, not with rage, but with clarity, with calm, with the kind of grounded power only a Virgo can embody when they stop apologizing for their truth and start honoring it fully. So let's talk about that moment, the one when you started to feel like maybe you couldn't trust your own gut anymore. That's what they wanted, to erode your certainty, to make you look at your own reflection and hesitate. But here's the truth. The moment you began to question yourself was the moment their influence started working. And the moment you clicked on this message, that's the moment you took your power back. Let's get specific. Think back to that one conversation that felt just a little too rehearsed, or that text message that came hours later than usual, the job opportunity that suddenly vanished, the friend who went silent without explanation. These aren't random. These are energetic consequences of the intention set behind your back. But you're not a victim. You're a witness. And now, you're becoming the author of the next chapter. Because the thing about Virgo energy, it always recalibrates. It doesn't stay stuck in confusion. It seeks truth. And once that truth is found, it builds something better, something cleaner, clearer, stronger. You're doing that now, even if it doesn't feel like it yet. The fog is lifting, the weight is shifting, and all the strange emotions that didn't belong to you, they're starting to leave. They were never yours to carry. They were projections, distortions. And now they're evaporating in the presence of your awareness. You don't need revenge. You don't need confrontation. You just need to keep listening to that quiet voice inside that's been right all along. So if this is resonating, if your chest feels a little lighter, if your eyes are starting to sting with recognition, know this isn't just a message, it's a moment, a turning of the tide. And you, Virgo, are finally aligned with the truth you always sensed, but never had words for until now. Let's talk about what's really happening behind the scenes. Virgo, what you're stepping into now is not just some random phase or coincidence, it's a divine correction. And it begins with the energy of the Judgment card. Think of it like this. The universe has been watching everything. Every word said behind your back. Every decision made without your consent. Every attempt to reroute your life in a way that served someone else's comfort over your growth. And now, that energy has triggered what I call This energy doesn't just show up because something went wrong. It shows up because something was unfair. And you, being who you are, meticulous, intentional, aligned with truth, you triggered the audit by simply existing in your integrity. When people try to mess with that, it sends a cosmic signal. And judgment arrives not to punish, but to expose, to balance, and to reroute what was knocked off course. You might start seeing signs documents reappearing, conversations overheard that weren't meant for you, dreams that replay key moments in surreal detail. That's all part of this audit. It's the spiritual receipts being pulled out and examined. The universe is checking who said what, who did what, and more importantly, who tried to hide it. Virgo, justice has arrived not as punishment, but as correction. You've carried too much, stayed silent too long, and kept cleaning up after others while your truth was twisted. Now, the scales are rebalancing. You'll notice it in subtle shifts, unexpected clarity, people revealing what was once hidden, even energy changing in rooms you walk into. These aren't coincidences, they're confirmations. The lies can't hold anymore. The charm they once used feels forced now. And you feel lighter not because life got easier, but because the truth is finally doing the heavy lifting. This isn't your time to fight back. It's your time to rise with calm, with clarity, with boundaries. You're not here to beg to be understood anymore. You're here to be aligned with yourself, your values, your worth. Some people may fade away. Let them. That's justice too. Not everyone was meant to stay past the unveiling. What remains now is cleaner clearer, truer. So take this moment as evidence your energy never lied. What you sensed was real, and what comes next will feel like peace, not because the world has changed, but because you have. So if you're feeling a shift, like your energy is slowly coming back, like your thoughts are clearer, like your sleep is finally restful, that's not a coincidence. That's justice doing its work. That's the universe sweeping your path clean, one truth at a time. Now let's shift into something even deeper, something ancient. Virgo, as the energy of justice and judgment continues to sweep through your life, there's another force stepping forward, and it's the hierophant. This card doesn't just show up for anyone. It represents sacred order, divine protection, ancestral wisdom that stretches far beyond what we can see or even remember. When the hierophant appears, it's a sign that you're not doing this alone. Your spirit guides, your lineage, the energy of those who came before you, they are watching. And more than that, they are actively involved. They've seen the injustice, they've seen the manipulation, and they've decided it stops here. This isn't just some vague spiritual support. This is intervention. This is the moment where energies from beyond the physical plane step in and begin making moves on your behalf. It may show up as unexpected clarity, a sense of calm that hits you right when you thought you'd break, a message that arrives at the perfect time, a conversation that connects the dots you couldn't connect before. These aren't coincidences. This is the hierophant energy in motion, spiritual authority reminding you that truth is backed by something far older and stronger than deception could ever hope to be. Now let's talk about the moon, because as the hierophant brings sacred guidance, the moon brings sacred exposure, and not everyone is ready for that. The moon card is emotional, it's raw, it reveals what's been hiding in plain sight and what's been festering in the dark corners. Secrets start slipping, masks begin to crack. People who once seemed confident now appear anxious, even paranoid. And it's not because of anything you did, it's because their own actions are being reflected back at them. This kind of clarity can be unsettling, especially for people who've thrived in illusion. But for you, it's liberating. It's that moment when the room lights up and you realize the shadow in the corner was never as big as you feared. And even if it was, you now have the support, the wisdom, and the cosmic permission to face it head on. This chapter is about exposure and protection working hand in hand. You're not being thrown into chaos, you're being led through it, guided by something much wiser than the noise. And that, Virgo, is how you move through darkness and come out glowing. And here's another layer to this, one that often goes unnoticed: emotional permission. The hierophant gives you the spiritual green light, not just to see clearly, but to feel fully. You don't have to pretend you're okay with what happened. You don't have to suppress the confusion, the frustration, or even the anger. You're allowed to feel every part of this without being labeled dramatic or difficult. That in itself is healing. There's a reason the moon comes after the hierophant in this story. First, you're grounded in truth, tradition, and protection. Then, and only then, are you ready to look into the murky depths without losing yourself. This is divine sequencing, because what you're seeing now, what's being revealed, could have broken you months ago. But today, you're ready. You're stable enough to process the truth without letting it consume you. So don't shy away from what's rising. If you get emotional, let yourself cry. If something clicks and suddenly the whole story makes sense, honor that clarity. That's transformation. And that's the gift of this moment, not just knowing what happened, but understanding why it matters and how you rise from it with more grace than ever before. Now we reach the moment where everything shifts. Virgo, the energy of the sun. After moving through shadows, confusion, and revelation, the sun bursts in with clarity, and not just any clarity, the kind that leaves no room for lies, second-guessing, or illusion. It is full force, no filter truth. It lights up every part of your path and shows you exactly where things went wrong and how right things are about to become. You might start to feel lighter, not just emotionally, but physically. It's like something lifts from your chest, your shoulders, your spirit. That's the sun clearing what never belonged to you in the first place. The confusion, the guilt, the blame, it's dissolving under this brightness. And in its place, confidence, certainty, calm. People around you will notice. Some will pull away because the light is too honest. Others will move closer, drawn to the power you now radiate. Let them. The sun doesn't apologize for shining, and neither should you. This is the return of direction, of joy, of focus. You're no longer questioning your worth or your choices. You're seeing them clearly, and you're standing in them with new strength. You're not rebuilding from zero, you're rising from truth. And there's no stronger place to rise from than that. The sun brings a new chapter, not one you wait for, but one you walk into, boldly, proudly, fully awake. And Virgo, this time, you're not looking for the light. You are the light. Let's slow down for a moment and talk about something real. Because Virgo, this isn't just about the energy around you. This is about how all of this has actually made you feel. There was a time you began to shrink, not because you lost confidence, but because something in you started bracing for the next hit. You may have stopped sharing ideas. You pulled back your energy. You questioned your gifts. And that wasn't because you didn't believe in yourself. It was because, on some level, you felt someone else didn't want you to. You sensed the resistance, even when it came dressed as politeness or fake support. That's what unspoken sabotage does. It doesn't push you down forceful. I remember a time in my own life, maybe you'll relate, when I felt like everything was slipping out of my hands, not in one big explosion, but in small ways. A friend started answering me with just one-word texts. A work opportunity I was promised suddenly fell through, and no one could tell me why. I started thinking I was the problem, that I'd somehow messed it all up. But deep down, I knew. I felt it in my chest. The energy had shifted. Something behind the scenes was moving against me, and that's when I realized what you're feeling isn't just emotion. It's information. It's intelligence. It's your intuition, alerting you to misalignment before the facts ever show up. And you, Virgo, you are deeply intuitive. Even if the world praises your logic, your real strength is how deeply you feel things, how early you pick up on signals, even the ones others ignore. So if you've been second-guessing yourself, if you've been wondering if you're just being sensitive, I'm here to tell you you're not. You were right. That feeling wasn't in your head. It was the truth knocking at your door before it had a voice. This moment in your life is not just about uncovering what happened. It's about reclaiming what that experience tried to take from you. Your voice, your trust in yourself, your sense of worth. Because, let's be honest, when someone tries to sabotage you in silence, the loudest damage happens internally. It's in the way you look at yourself afterward. It's in the pause before you speak, the hesitation before you try again. But here's what the universe wants you to know: you didn't lose yourself. You were paused, not erased, held, not broken. And everything that was distorted about your identity through their projection is now being stripped away. This is the part where your clarity becomes louder than their confusion. Your truth becomes bigger than their games. This is the part where you start walking differently, holding your head higher, not to prove a point, but because you remember who you are. It's not about shouting. It's about radiating that unshakable presence that says, I've been through something and I came out clean. Every breakdown led to your clarity, not despite it, but because of it. Because now, Virgo, you're not just intuitive, you're seasoned. You're not just careful, you're wise. You're not just discerning, you're deeply anchored in truth. That's the real transformation here. You're no longer available for spaces that require you to doubt yourself to stay welcome. So if your circle gets smaller, let it. If people fall away, release them. Because what's coming next needs space. Space for new connections, deeper resonance, real alignment. You don't have to beg for support anymore. You don't have to over-explain your worth. The people who are meant for you, they'll see you, they'll feel you, and they'll meet you right where you are. No masks, no games, just real, soul-level recognition. You've earned this next chapter, Virgo, not just because of how much you've endured, but because of how much you've grown through it. And the best part, you're just getting started. And now we enter a part of this journey that's a little less spiritual and a lot more grounded physical confirmation. Because sometimes, Virgo, the universe doesn't just whisper through dreams or gut feelings. Sometimes it brings you receipts. Real, tangible, undeniable signs that you were never imagining things. You might come across a message you forgot you saved, a document that surfaces at just the right time, a note someone left behind. You may overhear a conversation or see something online that... These moments are not coincidences. They're placements. Precision strikes of truth meant to land directly in your awareness. They arrive not just to confirm what you felt, but to give you something to hold on to. Something to point to when you start to wonder if you're still just making all of this up in your head, because you're not. The universe is showing its hand now, and it's handing you the evidence you need to finally put some things to rest. You might even notice patterns showing up specific times, numbers, locations, that same number on a receipt, a clock, or a license plate, that same phrase or song lyric popping up in different places. That's the universe reinforcing the message. It's saying, you're not crazy, you're not alone, and you're definitely not wrong. These synchronicities are little bridges between what you know intuitively and what you can now prove externally. And then there are the people. Watch closely. Someone may come back into your life with information they didn't feel ready to share before. Maybe they were scared. Maybe they didn't want to get involved. But now, they feel the energy shifting too, and they're feeling pulled to say something. These conversations, however small, might hold keys to unlock even more clarity. You may even find that people who once doubted you are starting to change their tune. That's not about you convincing them, it's about truth speaking for itself. You don't have to fight for belief anymore. Truth has a way of making itself known when it's time. And Virgo, now is that time. As all this unfolds, the final piece starts to emerge. It won't come loudly. It might show up quietly, subtly, but it will tie everything together. A missing detail, a confession, a pattern you hadn't noticed before, something that makes the entire picture click into place. And when it does, you'll feel it not just in your mind, but in your body. A full body yes, a weight lifted, the kind of release that tells you this is it. This is the final dot connecting the whole constellation. And as you take it all in, a new feeling rises. Not just relief, but readiness. You're not standing in the ruins anymore. You're standing in revelation. And from that place, something else begins to grow. Because Virgo, this journey was never just about discovering what they did. It was about rediscovering who you are. And who you are is someone who sees clearly, feels deeply, and stands firmly, even when others try to shake your ground. So now we close this chapter not in bitterness, but in brilliance. You have the clarity, you have the confirmation, and most of all, you have yourself back. Stronger, wiser, unshaken. The energy around you has shifted because you've shifted. Let the past stay in the past. Let the truth be enough. And let this next chapter be led not by fear, but by full alignment with who you are, with what you deserve, and with what's already on its way to meet you. If this message struck something real, comment one word below. It may be what someone else needs. Maybe it was a line that hit different. Whatever it was, share it, because someone else might need to hear that exact same thing. And when we speak our truths, we make room for others to do the same. This isn't just healing, it's activation. And Virgo, your light is on. And maybe that's the most important part of all, knowing that your healing isn't happening in isolation. Others are watching. Others are listening. Some silently, some loudly. But they're there. And when you rise, they remember they can rise too. So yes, collect the evidence. Let the signs confirm what you feel. But more than anything, let this moment affirm that your truth was never broken. It was just waiting for the space to be seen. And now, it is fully, clearly, powerfully. And now, Virgo, as this message begins to close, there's one final shift to recognize. It's that quiet inner shift, the kind that doesn't need fireworks to announce itself. It's subtle but strong. You're not the same person who pressed play. You've moved through recognition, through truth, through restoration, and now you're stepping into reintegration. This means you're returning to your life, but differently. You see things now. You hear things differently. You feel the energy in a room before a word is spoken. And that's not a burden, that's wisdom. It means you'll choose differently, speak more clearly, love more honestly, trust more slowly, but more meaningfully. And here's the best part, you're no longer carrying the weight of what they did. You're not seeking revenge. You're not hoping they understand, because you finally do. You understand yourself, and that makes all the difference. This next chapter, it's built on clarity, on calm, on quiet confidence. You'll move with less noise and more intention, less people-pleasing and more self-trust. You'll protect your peace not out of fear, but out of knowing just how sacred it is. So take a deep breath. Let this land. Let it become a part of you. Because you didn't just receive a message, you remembered your power. And Virgo, that changes everything. If this message found you at the right moment, share it. Drop a comment with the word that resonated most: peace, truth, clarity, power. Let others know they're not alone. Let them feel what you just felt. You're not just healing, you're leading quietly, powerfully, beautifully. And it shows. You might also notice that your standards are quietly rising. The things you once tolerated no longer feel acceptable. The conversations you used to shrink yourself to fit into, they feel too small now. That's growth. That's what happens when truth meets embodiment. You're not reacting anymore. You're responding from a place of clarity, of balance. And sure, not everyone will understand this version of you. Some might say you've changed, and they'd be right. You've changed because you were supposed to. Staying the same would have meant staying small. And Virgo, you were never meant to live in half-light. So take this version of yourself, the one that's clearer, calmer, bolder, and let it lead. Let it create. Let it decide who gets access to your time, your heart, your energy. You're not here to convince, you're here to become, and you're already doing that beautifully.